Art is the expression of human creative imagination expressed in different ways, like painting, body art, music, culture, theatre, film and dance. In Nigeria, our culture is also expressed with art. Welcome to the Community Report on Channels Television. I'm Victoria Ido. On this episode of the show, we're taking a look at professional artists. Enjoy. Art can be expressed in different ways, from singing, drawing, body arts, painting to sculptures. Some artists have specialized in the area of using paints, brushes, pens or collage to express their art. Kolade Oshinowo is one. He's Nigeria's most respected artist. He's also an influential art educator. His startup story is quite interesting.
I want the fish to be better seen, break it from the background. I was what you can call a local champion in the art room, which was where I identified the fact that I had the gift, because the art teacher would tell me to take over the class in the event that he was stepping out. So I was undisputable, chairman in the class. When you take over from where the teacher has left, it means you yourself had something. And he would put me into competitions, international competition, and I was winning prizes. All those were things that was kind of telling me that I have something that a lot of my classmates didn't have.
Opposition to achieving his dream came from his father, who for good reason would have preferred he became a doctor.
My late father wanted me to study medicine or engineering. The school I was attending, Majo Grammar School, that I was attending in Abeokuta, there was no serious science subjects being taught, and he wouldn't have that. So he moved me to where science was really grounded, But fortunately for me, there was also art on the curriculum, which was not in the curriculum where I was coming from. So, it was more like providence, because that was where my art career started from.
With a passion to see young people grow, he became a lecturer at Yaba College of Technology.
We developed a selection template in Yaba Tech. It was just a drawing test, apart from oral interview. A drawing test. Actually, let me quickly correct that. It's an international template in most art schools. Because when I was going to get admission into ABU, I had to go through drawing test and interview. The drawing test is to reveal to us whether you are actually gifted. What it will take a gifted child, for argument's sake, 30 minutes to achieve. The one that is not gifted will be lost in the woods. It's either you have it or you don't have it.
To be an artist, it means you must be naturally gifted.
Even while I was still in service, parents will bring their children. He said it is hard to help us. What are we going to do? I said, no problem. All I have to confirm is whether the child is actually talented, whether he's gifted.
With a lot of awards to his name, Mr. Oshinowo can boast of thousands of paintings to his credit.
I started with just one child. I ended up with seven. There are some of them. My daughter says she can still see some hiding in the back.
Learning art can be really expensive. although informal trainings have been made possible to reduce the cost. To make money from art, it's important to remember that a good artwork sells itself.
Well, what I tell my students is to learn first. Learn before you earn. If you are well grounded in art, and I always reassure them, no artist, unless he is extremely lazy, no artist is born to starve.
Creating a masterpiece takes a lot of creativity and sometimes months. Some professional ethics go with the profession.
For painting is one of a kind. So when you have an artist trying to repeat exactly the same, mark my word, exactly the same. We're not talking about series. For instance, what you see now are series. But if somebody says, I like this painting, and he decides to buy it, and then you quickly want to do the same thing, that's unethical. Okay. Yeah. No, because professionally it is unacceptable, because the person who bought the original work had paid you, that's why paintings are expensive, has paid you, for the work, so knowing that it is one of a kind.
One rule every artist should stand by.
Don't sell any work that is still going through the creative process. Enthusiastically, somebody might say, I like that, so can I pay for that? And you collect the money while you are still working. That work might come out better than that stage that it was. And you cannot go back to the man to say, you have to pay more. No. This is like a family procession, okay, for the engagement. You have to dance in.
Sometimes, after a masterpiece is completed, new inspiration comes.
Something is telling me that I should,
put somebody else.
Yeah, put two people here so that she won't be alone. Yeah, she won't be isolated.
For every painting, there is always a story.
Our project directors decided to interpret that work of 1508 in contemporary times, okay, using artists from other climes, okay, and I was invited, and of course, when they were asking which icon, which personality will I like to use, I said, Uncle Wale is the person that came to my mind. They asked me several times, and I gave them the same name, and so it was to represent the Italian icon at the time who was the central figure.
Sylvester Aguda, a professional marketer, has sold a lot of products in the past, but in the last 2 years, all he sells is his art.
I do a lot of scribbling, crayon and all that, but it was something I really enjoyed doing. It took me out of pressure, and as a very restless child, I think my mom encouraged me to do that because it kept me in one place, while it occupied me, and it actually gives me fulfillment. So after several years of career, I decided to go back into art.
His specialty is collage art.
People say self-taught, but I call myself God-taught, because most of the things I do myself, I'm amazed at what I do with my hands. Art came to me at a time where the whole professional part of it came up 26 years ago. Back in school, I lost my mom then, so I was getting quite depressed. And I discovered that most times when I'm restless, I sketch. So I was making this sketch, and there was this medical student who was my roommate, and he said, "Are you selling this?" I said, "No." He said, "Can I pay $100 for it?" And that's how I sold my first sketch. And 2-3 days later, the guy came back and said, can you do 3 more? And from making sketches, he came one day and said, can you make a card for me, a handmade card? So that was where the whole collage history came about. I made a collage card for him, and he was so happy. You know, a week later, he came back and asked me to make another one. So I started making collage cards, and that's how I developed my skill for collage art. There are different names. You have manila, you have chipboards, you have some are glossy, you know, but it depends on the medium of collage that you want to do, that you have to use that particular cardboard. Now, I felt it was something that was interesting. It wasn't something that was common, but I had to discover from experiments how to make it, how to perfect it. So from the handmade cards, I could now make bigger artworks. In this gallery, I have one work that I did several years ago. I still kept it like a prototype. I developed on that size, and I started making bigger ones. So I used the milligrams and the weights and sizes of those cardboards determine where I fixed them. Now, collage art known abroad or generally is actually pictures. People take different pictures or cut pictures from magazines and they paste them together, and that's what they use as the collage. But here, I've decided to break some boundaries to see how I can do artworks that are like paintings using cardboard of different shapes and sizes to create impressions. And I've succeeded in doing that over the years.
Getting the right material can sometimes be a big challenge for artists who create art with the use of collage.
First of all, it was getting the right kind of materials. You know, we're in a country where you have a lot of restrictions on importation, and then some of these materials, to the quality, the variants, you might not have the original ones. So you have to really go out to source for the original ones. And buying the original ones, you have to spend quite a lot of money to get them. And so that was one of the major challenges, sourcing of materials. Then after that, I looked at the market and said, okay, where can I get those particular, because the kind of materials I use are the everyday kind of materials. People use for their stationaries, some use for files and all that. So it's like buying recycled stuff. Instead of going to buy a whole fabric, maybe new fabrics, I go to tailors. I go around the fashion houses and pick pieces of paper. It looks funny. So the people say, what do you want to use all this trash for? But you know, I pick those things and I turn them to beautiful things.
With some form of training, a person can become a collage artist.
Every human being. Some it might be music, some it might be writing, because when you classify art broadly, it falls under too many categories. But the visual artist, I can say, yes, it's possible. With some training, I have come to discover that there's no ugly art. You see some people just throw some splash of paint on the paper, and they're selling for millions. So you see somebody just do some caricature thing, just scribble something, and the way he frames it, I think it's about the finishing and the presentation, and its perception. What do you think, what do you want your audience or your collectors to feel or say? So you could put up something, just one straight line. And so if you are a good poet, you could put a nice story behind that line, and the story will sell the work.
A major quality of an artist is an extra eye. This helps the imagination work round the clock.
Hey, collage artist. Woo! You see, I told you could make it! Amazing. For the first time. So you can imagine if you try this.
Woo!
You got a circle without tracing it.
Woo!
You see? Man. Please, can I get a fist bump, please?
Within a few hours, we created a painting called Victoria Beach. Hyperrealism is a genre of painting that resembles a high-resolution photography.
One of the best students in painting at that time, I felt there is nothing I can do to speak and talk to my society other than being creative and telling the story from the inside, which is from Lagos, before I move around the world.
Olumide Oreshegun has mastered the craft so well, he has made a name for himself.
Realism was born out of the desire to achieve greatness and achieve excellence in what I'm doing. So it's not something that we were taught in school. We were only taught to paint things we see and the way we see. When I now started painting Impressionists, which is this kind of style of trying to making an impression of colors to depict what you wanted to paint, then I realized I'm not really satisfied, so I move forward in pursuing the real thing the way it is.
With a training in painting from Yaba College of Technology, he uses colors to tell his story.
But sometimes when an artist has colors in the palette, usually have the primary colors. You can mix the primary colors to get your secondary color, and then mix your secondary and primary color to get your tertiary color. So those are the elements of art that I try to create with my brushes on the palette. So I try to get the mix of accurately, and I try to get my skin tone in a precise way. You know, it won't look as if it's a little bit plastic. You know, a lot of people paint artworks when you find out that it looks plastic, it looks stick. But you know, when you understand the value of each color, the lighter value and the darker shade of the value, then you can be able to like subdue where it's necessary and add where it's necessary.
With this water effect, his art looks so believable.
Water effect comes as a result of so many things, because I found out that water effect gives beauty to the original flesh we have. But a lot of people don't look at it that way, because water don't stick on their body except when they are sweating. Even though when they are sweating, they still try to rub. People don't like water on their face, but they want water to refreshing their body, moisten the body. But as an artist, you see far from that. You see the beauty in everything you do. So I see beauty while a lot of people are taking baths. I see beauty while sweat is coming out of somebody's body. So I try to like bring those things, elements of creativity into my thinking, and try to like create something valuable from it.
The value placed on every art is determined by several factors.
So the kind of art I do, the time frame, the energy, the color, and the concepts, the acceptability of their concepts will determine the value of the product, and the originality of the art, the provenance of the art. These are the things that will determine the quality of what I produce. A small work can be more valuable than a very large size of canvas. Could you imagine and how important the artwork is to the community, to the whole world, will determine the value of that piece.
In art, patience is a virtue.
He said you want to sit down for 10 hours, 8 hours straight of working on one particular thing. You know you are like playing yourself, because you are the restless type. So anybody that is restless, first, you cannot paint hyperrealism. Even though you can paint one particular painting for like 2 months or 3 months, but you can't still paint hyperrealism, because You need a lot of focus, energy into it.
To my surprise, Olumide uses a pen to make sketches.
Started painting on canvas.
For some artists like Olumide, a model with a character is important to his art.
That's about it.
Emerging talent Olukoto Opeyemi is a representational artist. His passion led him to study applied arts at the undergraduate level.
With a background in fine and applied arts. It's a course of study, so definitely it's a career I actually chose. Initially, I was a science student. I crossed to fine arts when I was in 200 level, just because of the love I have for the profession. He is with his phone, he's trying to, doing Facebooking and all that in the process of work. Because as you can see, no passengers, nothing for now. So he's just keeping himself busy with connecting with friends online.
As a young rising artist, Olumide has a few challenges.
Okay, some of the challenges an artist can face could be in terms of funds, resources, and some other things to enhance your creativity. Sometimes when you make some of these things and some things that you feel should be forthcoming are not forthcoming, those are one of the challenges that you might rethink that should I take this profession as a full-time, or I should just look for a side also to do. But those are just some of the normal tests anybody can face.
He believes with his dedication in his art, his work will speak for him.
Okay, I'm working on myself, and I feel in the process of working on myself, I'm breaking out as well. So I'm coming out with my own style, my own way of rendition. So it's just my own way that I'll be recognized with my own brand, that this is what I do. So apparently when you see one of my pieces, you know that, okay, this is supposed to be a poem. And I want to be telling stories, so you eventually see a lot of stories in whatever I'm doing.
The sale of art is important, and that's where social media comes in.
I think when age we are in an information age right now, where everything is you could make use of social media to sell your things. They are all there to assist you. The world can see what you do, so it's not something that will be hidden, unlike those age where some of these internet weren't available. So you can market your art yourself, and sometimes you have place of collectors, you have the place of galleries that help promote your art. So some of those things, they cannot be overlooked because they still help the artist. And you have social media, you have galleries, you have collectors that buy your work.
Opeyemi believes that no artist is in competition with the other. Every man is running his own race.
I think as an upcoming, most importantly, you should focus more on sharpening your skills, be an ardent lover of details when it comes to what you do, try and research on what you're supposed to be doing. Don't be all about I need to get the money. To attain success, sometimes preparing yourself for greater heights, I feel. So as for upcoming, you should be focused on being better at what you do. Try and do more of research, work more in your field, be an ardent lover of details in your field, so that you could be better and one of the best in it. And there's usually no best art, so nobody's taking first. You understand? So it's your own race. So you should explore more on yourself and be good at what you do.
Art is expressed in different ways. For these artists, their form of expression is their own way of telling their story. As they say, art is life. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. I'm Victoria Ido. If you missed any part of the show, you can check it out on our YouTube channel. You can also send your comments to the social media handles showing on your screen. Until I see you again, bye for now.